What's happening, Vape fam? Joel of All Vapes coming at you. I am in a splendiferous mood today for several reasons. One, because it's a Saturday and there ain't nothing going on, you know what I'm saying? So you're stuck with me for the remainder of the next whatever, you know what I mean? So I hope you guys got a good vape. Thank you very much for joining me for my reviews once again. So today, this review is going to be the start of a new edition, a new section, if you will, of my vape video playlist library. It's going to be called PNW Reviews, but we're going to stick to the originality of just Joe of All Vapes Reviews. PNW Reviews is going to be sort of the show, if you will. I know it sounds like a conformist idealism, but you know what? Sometimes you got to spread the butter before you eat the toast. That's a southern twang kind of a thing. You got to be raised with a southern mother to be able to have this kind of stuff in your lingo repertoire, you know what I mean? Incidentally, if this is your first time joining me, thank you very much. Kick your feet up, stick around for a while. Please consider subscribing and following me on my Instagram account and Twitter. If you're down with the Twitter, I'm down with the Twitter too. So today we're going to be talking about the West Coast Vape Expo out in Pasco, Washington. That's December 9th through the 10th. I am going to be there, yours truly, with Vango Vapes. Hang on. It's cold in the Pacific Northwest. Vango Vapes, there you go. Up from British Columbia, Canada, is going to be down in Washington, down for them, up for me, for the West Coast Vape Expo. It has proven to be an awesome time. If you guys haven't checked out on Instagram, if you have an Instagram account, which most of you probably do, check out the West Coast Vape Expo. And I mean, the vendor list is just toppling over. This is probably the biggest year that I have seen the West Coast Vape Expo accumulate this many vendors all in one space. So it's looking to get pretty large and in charge. But anyways, I'm going to be there at the Vango Vapes booth with a buddy of mine, Juicy Jones. He has the Vape AM show on his YouTube channel, and that's another plug for you. I just did today an edition of Vape AM with Juicy Jones. So if you haven't had the opportunity to check that out, and if you're seeing this at a later date, is November 2nd. So go into the Juicy Jones YouTube channel, check him out, give him a subscribe, check out the video that we did. So back to the West Coast Vape Expo, Oregon 33, boom, there you go. Oregon 33, that might be a little bit easier to see, is a local PNW company with some awesome flavored e-juice. I like working with a lot of the local people. If I get the opportunity, local small businesses and whatnot around, see, I'm in Springfield, Oregon, so I try and hit up, you know, around Portland and Springfield and Eugene, and basically anybody in the surrounding area within me, a few hours traveling distance, I don't mind. Luckily, they ship it all to me because I hate driving long distance. But Oregon 33 has 6 signature flavors. Really tasty stuff. Now, Oregon 33 had a really good name for themselves for a quality brand, but me and my culinary experienced discerning palate really didn't mean anything to me until I tried it. You know what I mean? Because I think a lot of you guys trust in my word, and I appreciate that kind of respect. So let's talk about these 6 flavors from Oregon 33. First of all, the first flavor is Woodsman. Now, these all come to me in 60 milliliters. These are 3 milligrams of nicotine. Now, the Woodsman, under their description, homemade ice cream, almond bourbon syrup. So first of all, homemade ice cream is basically kind of a vanilla base. So that alone has sort of a rich, creamy flavor to it, a really solid blend of a rich, just kind of a creamy and buttery undertone. A little bit of vanilla in there, not to overpower any of the other flavors. Now, the almond and the bourbon syrup were really curious to me. I didn't want this to experience sort of like I was vaping Di Serono. But in the end, the bourbon syrup is really what surprised me. This was really phenomenally tasting. It has become a bit of an ADV for me. And it's very subtle, but very deep and extremely rich. So you're working the almond, which has that nice, nutty, earthy flavor to it. The bourbon syrup is basically like the simple sugar syrup that I was talking about, but just has kind of an oaky sense to it. It really lights a flame to the olfactory sense. And the ice cream puts a solid dessert quality onto that flavor. So the Woodsman, being from the Pacific Northwest, just seems to really fit the whole bill. If it wasn't already obvious, that I'm a Pacific Northwesterner, stick around, man. When you guys get to know me on a personal level, you'll see that there is no difference in front or behind the camera. Let me tell you. So the Woodsman was definitely one of my faves. Their next flavor here, Pioneer, a good RY4, basically. It's got vanilla, it's got caramel, and it's got a decent tobacco. The tobacco on this, luckily, is not very heavy, but this is actually another one of those flavors that I like, just not as much as all of the other ones. And that's just a discerning palate kind of a thing. That's where the subjectivity goes. So the tobacco, very, very smooth, an incredibly smooth tobacco, zero throat hit on this stuff. Those of you that are former smokers that really dig a good throat hit, just kind of that little scratchy feeling in the back of your throat when you take a hit, you're not gonna like this. But the flavor, absolutely out of sight. The caramel is rich enough, buttery enough to be a solid caramel. The vanilla is definitely present. A little bit of hint of that, not too heavy, but sweet enough to really dig into it. You know what I mean? In terms of ADV, I would have to give this kind of a number 2 past the Woodsman. Fireside is OR33's answer to a solid apple cinnamon fritter. And fritter, I love fritter, anything, donut, you guys, you name it. Good apple, solid cinnamon flavor. The glaze on this is very good and sugary, so it's extremely reminiscent of the actual thing. You like a good apple fritter in the morning with a cup of coffee. I find vaping this with a cup of coffee is pretty solid. So the one thing I will say about this is that the cinnamon is not too heavy. It's just very lightly there. The apple was solid, but the sweet factor for me was just a little bit mellow. That's not necessarily a knock, but typically you see with a lot of fritter flavors or a lot of donut flavors, it's either going to be really super deep or really super sweet. This one was actually kind of straight down the middle, so haven't quite figured it out yet. I definitely like it. I don't know if I'd consider it an ADV, which is shocking because I typically love the donut flavors, but there is my honest opinion on that one. The next one we're talking about is Summit. Summit is vanilla custard, maple, and brown sugar. So this one, everything was really, really solid for me on this. But for me, the maple and the brown sugar sort of mingled into a very deep mixture of headiness that was a little bit difficult for me to separate the two, just slightly. They're very, very similar in nature to flavor. So I think if maybe one was just a little bit more subdued over the other, it doesn't matter to me which one, that the consistency would come through just a little sharper. But it was definitely a good blend. I'll give them that one. It's coming up with another solid vanilla. The vanilla custard is basically kind of overlapping the flavors on this. So there's another thing for you. Custards used to be really big for me, but lately they tend to just kind of thicken and overpower a lot of flavors. There's nothing to OR33. That's more of an individual Joe of All Vapes thing. That is subjectivity for you there. But if I did have to put a grading from 1 to 5 on the vanilla custard, I'd give it probably a 4. It's not the best I've ever tasted, but it is definitely a solid, good flavor, decent blend, a little bit richer than I had, than I had expected to experience. But you know what? So far, OR33 is kind of batting a 4 out of 4. Last two flavors that we got here, let's go with Rogue. This is pretty much their answer to the lightest vape you could possibly have, but still with a decent blend of fruit. So melon, blackberry, and peach is what we got going on here. Now, I am not a huge, massive fan of berry vapes. I never really have been. The peach and the melon came across really, really nicely for me. Actually, the peach came across so stark. It sort of was very reminiscent of a good peach ring, and I love peach rings. You know, I grew up with peach ring gummies. You know, those are awesome stuff. Child of the 80s up in here. But the melon came through really, really solid too. The blackberry was really what just kind of didn't do it for me. It fit because it's a Pacific Northwest brand. You know, the blackberries, Oregon Marionberries, so on and so forth, we're known for our pies and our berries and our nature. And it was a good blend in concept. For me personally, I could have gone with just the peach and the melon. That was it. The blackberry was the only thing that wasn't a hit for me. But the discriminating palate of Joe of All Vapes tells me that the blackberry is very true to consistency, very true to profile. So it did add what it added, just I don't like the blackberry, and that's just a me thing, but it's not a quality thing. So moving on to the last and final flavor is Archer. If you guys love a little bit of Archer in your life, you will now. Strawberry, sweet cream, and toasted coconut. So it's a play on a familiar flavor. All the brands got the strawberry cream, you know what I'm saying? This one not only brings in coconut, but a toasted coconut, which exemplifies and expands the flavor of the coconut to an nth degree. The sweet cream is, well, it's exactly what it says. It's a good, nice, heady, deep, rich cream, but it's sweet, which tends to, in my palate's opinion, slightly overpower the strawberry, which, to be honest with you, I dug. If I have a strawberry vape, chances are I'm eventually going to get sick of it real soon, because the strawberry vapes are so prevalent and present on the market, in just the perfect blend of mixology. Really think you're gonna like this. So for me, it's kind of a cross between the Woodsman, boom, and Archer, between my two favorites, my two ADVs here. So you got your strawberry sweet cream toasted coconut, or your homemade ice cream with almond and bourbon syrup. Either way you slice it, OR33, really good stuff. Relating to the West Coast Vape Expo, they are going to be there this December 9th through the 10th, 2017. So if you get the opportunity to go up or down or left or right, wherever you're from, to Pasco, Washington, December 9th through the 10th, definitely go onto Instagram, check out West Coast Vape Expo. Yours truly will be there at the Vango Vapes booth, and OR33 right there is going to be at the West Coast Vape Expo, and I'll be mingling around. Come by the Vango Vapes booth, so we'll be able to get some pics together. We'll have a good time, and definitely go by the OR33 booth at the West Coast Vape Expo. Check them out on Instagram. Really solid flavors. That pretty much wraps this up for Joe of All Vapes PNW reviews. How do you like that? Does it roll off the tongue? Kind of sticks with you, right? Okay, so we're going to stick with that for a while, see how that kind of feels out and works for us. So what I'm going to do from this point on is do some more reviews for another 2 or 3 brands leading up to the West Coast Vape Expo, which is on the 9th from the 10th, Pasco, Washington. I'm going to grade that in all of your minds. Each review will correspond with another vendor that's going to be at the expo. So definitely gear yourselves up. Better get out a pen and paper and write down all the different brands that you're going to be spending your vape cash, your elusive vape cash on, okay? Thank you very much for watching my reviews once again. Check me out on Instagram. Give me a follow. Give me a subscribe here if you have not had the opportunity to do that. And please check me out on Twitter at Joe of All Vapes. Give me a follow. If you have any questions or comments, definitely slam something in the comment section below, or give me a DM on Instagram, or a message here on YouTube or on Twitter. And I definitely will try my best to get a hold of you about as much as humanly possible. I'm a busy man, but not busy enough for y'all, you know what I'm saying? So this is Joe of All Vapes, your eye in that vaping sky, wishing you to forever stay humble. You love yourselves, spread that love this holiday season, guys. Keep it cloudy, and of course, pinky out. Hey everybody, this is Joe of All Vapes. Thank you for watching. For the best in vape reviews, pound that subscribe button, and don't forget, vaping saves lives.